What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Kuya P. Nerds rule the world, back for another ShoPowSho. So, of course, it's the Adobro, the Babinka boy, the leader of the Holla Holla homies in the Center Gang. With another one, I have the amazing writer, director, actor, filmmaker, creative, long time coming. Such a fan of this lady. Not the Mosquito Lady, as you see, but she did write the Mosquito Lady. She is Kristine Gerolaga. Thank you so much for your time today. How are you, Kristine?
Oh my God, Pat, thank you so much for having me. Like I said again, I'm just really, I think this is really special. I'm so grateful to you for wanting to take the time to speak with me. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Um,
Despite everything going on.
yeah, girl. Despite that,
I
despite
mean,
all that,
set
I'm
that
good.
aside. Yeah. Like, because
Yeah.
as
We
they
are
say,
just living our work is our resistance.
that's what I was going to say. I'm like, our work, our joy, those are forms of resistance. I mean,
Yes.
you know, it's going to be a tough time ahead of us, but.
But we
but
won't
I
go there.
feel
We won't
I
go
feel
there.
fortunate. Yeah, I feel fortunate to be in community with you.
Yes,
So
exactly. And this is giving me joy. This
yeah,
virtual conversation is giving me joy, and I thank you immensely for that. You have this film now more widely available on Alter. So happy for you, bringing the Manangal to all the people that don't know nothing about it.
yeah.
Can you just tell me about just this ride, winning all the awards on the festivals? Congratulations, doing the festival circuit, but now just getting more of your work out there, which in turn, hopefully, those people that have the money bags can see your brilliance and be like, okay, I want to hit her up because she might have a project in her pocket that I can help fund. What is it like making things happen, and what is it like getting it out there for a wider audience?
I mean, I feel so I'm just thrilled to be one of the Filipino creators that's like trying to get like our folklore out there. I know there have been other, I know a ton of people have been making their own versions of and telling their own stories using our folklore. So it's just really exciting to be a part of that conversation and to also use it in a way that is so relevant to what's going on now and honestly it has been ongoing. But yeah, I with this project in particular, this was one that I was hoping to make way back in like 2015, 2016. But I knew at the time it would be like expensive to do because we wanted to do practical effects. Um, and and at the time it was like, there's just no way. How am I going to make this knowing the costs of that? And just like, yeah, I had to shelve it at the time because it just felt so impossible. Fast forward to 2022, um, Sundance Institute actually awarded me with the Uprise grant, which I mean, blew my mind. I could not believe I got support from an institution like them. Um, so I was able to take that grant, turn around, put that towards the practical effects of the short film. And now fast forward again, these next 2 years, been on the festival circuit. It is the most film festivals I've ever experienced, like with my own work. So that was really exciting. And taking it to like some really established, like exciting festivals that I just never dreamed of going to, like Fantasia Fest, Beyond Fest, BFI, London Film Festival. Oh, I'm so
Let's
sorry.
go. I love it.
Can you hear that? I'm
Yeah,
gonna
but it's
turn.
okay. It's not messing anything up. You're good.
Okay, I'm just gonna quickly. I'm so sorry. You're gonna have to edit
No
it out.
worries. This happens sometimes with virtual
Oh,
Zoom environments. Everybody knows we're living in this new age, so it's all good.
yeah.
Um,
I'm just so sad that that happened. Oh my gosh. I was
no
like,
worries.
I thought I had prepared everything I had. Let me just close that so that doesn't happen
All good.
again. I'm so sorry about that. Okay.
Not a problem.
I think we're safe.
If anything,
Uh,
it's already gonna been cut. They won't even notice it in the edit. Sometimes I just leave it. It makes it all
yeah.
feel like,
You
oh,
know
we're in
what?
this
This is real
conversation.
life,
It's real
guys.
life.
This is real life. Okay. I'm coming to you from a break in between my day job hours. So that's where we're at.
There we go. We know.
Yeah. But like I was saying, like it's been such an exciting time. Like people are really engaged. with the story and the short film, especially knowing what's happening with the state of reproductive rights right now. And again, like I said, like ongoing, this has been going on for so long and feels like it's, worsening, right? In 2024 of all, like
Yeah, right.
today, come
Yeah.
on. Um, and so yeah, it's been an exciting journey. And this is just the proof of concept for the feature version I've been developing that I was also very fortunate to take through the Sundance Labs this year, for the screenwriting lab. And so hopefully the next step is now that it's out, on Alter for everyone to see, and it's, it has been getting some attention there and people have been really engaged, which is just great. Hopefully, yeah, the next step is to make this feature film, especially knowing where we are today.
It's so
Yeah.
important. And yes. But congratulations. I love that. And one of the biggest things I love about you and your work and with this project, especially, and as you just mentioned, reproductive rights. And, and this, we follow a young woman who, wants to get rid of the baby. And we all know how abortion is in the news and was a main part of this election right now. But the fact that you put like important things that we should be talking about as a world, but also in an entertaining fashion. Because I think that's the responsibility and power we have as artists, as actors, as filmmakers, as writers, is to entertain, but also educate at the same time. And if you can do both of them, that is what you really capture my attention. And I think you're doing that with
Wow.
this work. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, no, that really means a lot, especially, I mean, that would mean a lot to our entire team. It was really important to us to do our best to, yeah, not only like give you your vegetables, right? But like, but like make this something memorable, like that you can actually engage with, that will hopefully keep your attention, that will actually hopefully scare you, like those are intentions with the project. So thank you. And thank you on behalf of my
Oh,
team. I'm sure there will
oh!
be,
Shout out to the entire team. Yes, well, as we all know, it takes a village to produce these works.
yeah.
And again, respect and love and bravo and virtual flowers to everybody on the team. Uh, well
Yeah.
deserved with all the accolades and awards, and to you, Kristine, leading the team. Just beautiful. I want to get on in regards to what you also brought up earlier, utilizing our Filipino folklore to also bring that into the fold and get that out to a wider audience. And
Yeah.
the power of utilizing. I noticed you like a lot of horror, and I think a lot of people sleep on horror. In respects, there's horror has its fan base, but
Yes.
how you can utilize horror to talk on important things. One of my favorite films this year that is certain people love it, some people hate it. It's in my top two, by Corley Fargeet. The
Yes. The
Substance. I don't know
substance.
if
Yeah.
you've seen The Substance.
I 100%
Bold,
have.
it's brash, it's
Yeah.
in your face, it's bloody, but it's
Yeah.
speaking on so many things and it's so layered
Yeah.
that I just absolutely loved it. And I'm a huge fan of Corley Fargeet now.
I
I had to
mean,
dive back and check out Revenge. If y'all haven't seen Revenge, go check out Revenge.
oh,
You
I
know what I'm
mean,
saying?
her third acts are always like she's gonna leave you with something to remember because
Yes.
they she's just mind blowing, and just like not afraid to go really far. Like take
Right.
it as far as she can. Yeah. It's incredible.
So yeah, I'm sorry I got sidetracked on my praise for Corley Fargeet.
Love
Um, love her.
We
But
should. Let's just talk about her, honestly.
no, it's a Kristine show because I love you too.
Oh,
So taking this, you're from Vallejo, California.
yes, I am.
How did you find out about these things? Because I know for myself, growing up as a Filipino American here on the East Coast for the most of my life, although, I was born in San Diego, but then my parents were military. So I was raised around the world and then
Right.
majority of my life on the East Coast. I didn't get a lot of that folklore because my father is Irish American. Uh,
Hmm.
and my mom's Filipino, but then newsflash of people who've seen recent episodes, my life got turned upside down, as they say on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, when last
Yeah.
year I found out that my father is my biological father is not the man who I thought was my father all my life. That's a
Oh,
whole nother film, Kristine, and we'll be getting into that on
wow.
another thing. He's actually some Filipino guy in the Philippines that I don't know who he is. And
Oh my gosh.
yeah, girl. But
Whoa, what a
I say
reveal.
all that to say, I don't know much about our
Mhm.
our people, and I've had to learn things through the internet and books and everything to know that history. How did you learn about Manangal and all of that? Where how did you get that information to then put that into the stories and have that as a focus of some of your work?
Yeah, no, so I also grew up in the United States, right? Born and raised here, but my dad was also in he was in the Navy. But I mostly was, oh yeah,
That's our
Filipino.
story.
Yeah, it is our story. But I grew up in California, and it wasn't until my grandfather had passed away when I was 12 years old that we had to go back to the Philippines to bring him home to be with family, to bury him there in the home country. And it was my cousins and my dad, like they just sat us down, me and my brother one day, and they were like, "Have you ever heard of the Manananggal? Have you ever heard of the Capre? Have you heard of like, they were just like starting to tell me all these stories about these different like creatures and monsters that I had never heard about and truly are some of the most terrifying monsters I have ever heard stories about. I mean like the Manananggal itself, right? Like a woman that tears herself in half every night, like has like excruciating, painful transformations, is, eats fetuses, like preys on pregnant women, like like learning about that from my family in the Philippines, along with other, like the white lady, which I think is commonly known as the white lady, but also known as the Caparosa, and like just like all their different stories of, um, you know, their versions of sightings in the Philippines, or like, like their warnings of like, if you do something bad, if you disobey your parents, like they're gonna come for you, right? Like the use of that, and it's like that was really impactful to me. Like my cousin sent me home with like a ghost storybook from the Filipino stories. Like it's just like, you think horror coming up in America, right? And then you're introduced to your own country's version of that. And it's just like it just through the roof, like even scarier. Like, I'm thinking, thank goodness these creatures are in the Philippines and not here. But then, fast forward to me being an adult and being a storyteller and like having my reactions to what's going on with reproductive rights, and the restrictions and the just like the worsening of access to safe and legal abortions. It's like, of course, like suddenly I'm thinking about our own folklore. I'm thinking about the Manananggal. I'm thinking about the parallels between, um the lead character and the Manananggal, and how they're both experiencing their own versions of body horror, losing bodily autonomy, and just also, yeah, that comparison of just the parallels between, people who are in really desperate situations, who are needing to get control of their lives, who are looking for a way to safely end their pregnancies and not having access to that kind of service. And like we've heard so many horror stories of people throwing themselves down the stairs, beating themselves, using hangers, using crude
Mm,
tools, like just like to me that is this little girl going to a Manananggal because she thinks she has no choice, right?
yeah.
um and so yeah, that was a lot of word vomit, but like that
Oh,
is
no
how I
worries.
got from learning about this to like suddenly turning around and years later using it to tell
I'm
another kind of story. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious that amazing light bulb moment because the fact that you're able to weave that together of the Manangal story with with abortion and in regards to the story you're telling in Mosquito Lady, that connection to make that happen when that light bulb went off. What were you doing? And then like how long did it take you to write it once it came off? And that's just
Right.
so inspired. I know like it's just, oh my gosh, I would have lost my mind. Like I just came up with the most brilliant story. And I'm just like fingers to keyboard or pen to pad. Like, what was that like? How long did it take you to
I
put
mean,
it all together?
truly, I mean, no, it really did feel like, whoa. like I cannot believe like I'm in a position now where, as a storyteller, having access to this kind of folklore from our own home country, like our motherland, it's like, and knowing the time we live in, I'm like, I cannot believe I put that two and two together. And it really excited me. And I know I can't be the only person who have made those connections, right? But it's so important to tell these kinds of stories, right? So it was really exciting to me. And I mean, like I said, like, so this happened in like 2015, 2016. I wrote so fast. Yeah, like it was just one of those things where it's like you just feel it flowing through you, right? And
Yes.
like the specific project. And like I sadly at the time mentioned, like there's just no way to make this with like the
Yeah.
money out of my own pocket, right? Like it was just like there was no way. But I think what was important about the time passing between then and now, or then to when I could finally make it, was that like the story had continued to evolve in my mind. Like that seed had just continued to grow in my mind of like, what am I trying to say? Like, what is, what's happening and how am I commenting on that using horror and the Manananggal. And so I think that time needed to happen. Uh, and thankfully the support came through when it did, because it just felt
Yeah.
like timing finally aligned, even though unfortunately it also means that this is still too relevant to our time. And hopefully that changes.
Definitely.
I hope
Definitely.
it changes, but I know
Yeah.
it's tough.
I
Yeah.
hate to bring food up, but we are Filipino. So
Yes.
it's like marinade. You gotta let it marinate,
Yes.
and
Yes.
then that's when it's really good.
Yeah. So no,
So
you're so right. You're so right about
so was this I think I read when I was doing my research on you as well. So this was part of Lamoc, which is your full feature. Was this pulled from that, or was this is it an offshoot? Can you tell me a little bit about, so like we have this beautiful short film now that's available on Alter, y'all. Go check it out after you're done watching this interview, or stop this and come back.
it.
And
Yeah.
can you tell me, just the composition between the two, if the other ones, where does this fit? Because I'm looking for a Kristine Gerolaga universe now, with starting with Mosquito Lady and now with Lamoc, or or
Yeah.
what's happening.
Okay, so though it's a little bit of both. It's actually, so it is a standalone short film and it is its own story. So it kind of, yeah, exists in the same world as where Lamok is, but I did pull like a story from Lamok where there is a girl that is, you know, seeking an abortion from a Manananggal. But the thing with Lamok is that it's from the point of view of a woman who's cursed to become a Manananggal. So she's actually the lead of the story in this in the feature version. So as opposed to following someone who's seeking an
Yeah.
abortion, someone who um, is resistant to that at first. The story of Lamok is actually about a grieving mother who is determined to avenge the death of her daughter after a botched abortion, until she is cursed to become a Manananggal, which, as we know, is a fetus-eating creature. And so we see her journey with that, and how her worldview changes because of it. And so, yeah, a little bit of both. Like I pulled a little kernel from from the feature film,
Yeah.
turned it into its own story, and then flipped the protagonist so that it was more focused on a girl looking for an abortion.
That works. And especially once that drops, people will go back to this and vice versa. I think
Right.
that'll be dope to just give that. Let's go. I dig that. I dig that. So, staying on Mosquito Lady, this short that's available now, y'all, on Alter. And if you and all you money bags that just heard the Lamok story. I know I'm brutalizing names today.
We're doing
Um,
good. We're doing good.
we need your money. Christine needs your money. I need you to fund her. Her links are in the description. Reach out to her. Let's make that feature happen. Um, so
Thank
you
you. Oh my God.
Oh, definitely. So you put together the short. Tell me about production, getting the actors you have involved, your team. Because again, it takes a village. This looks amazing. The people in it did their jobs. Uh, immensely. Just everything looks great. I can understand why you're getting all the acclaim, my friend, because it looks as good as anything else I've seen. And I watch a lot, y'all. Y'all know that.
I know you do. I know you do. That's why I'm like, oh boy, this is a cinephile here who I'm talking to. So this person watches a lot of stuff. That means so much. Again, yeah, like you're saying, I was so fortunate to have an incredible team with me through this. What I wish I could do is just like take a list and be like, I'm going to tell you every name and every person and what they did on this because everyone truly came together and contributed like their hearts, their creativity, their ideas. It felt, I hope it felt like a little mini adult summer camp for everyone because it like to me, like that's how it felt for me. I felt like I was so supported by everyone on the team and yeah, just so lucky. And a lot of people were just like, I would say so many of them are like collaborators in my life, like lifelong collaborators. Some people I haven't worked with yet, but have been wanting to work with. Some people I haven't met, but we came together on this set and it was incredible to work with. Like our special effects team, the woman who led that, she's actually a Cambodian special effects makeup artist, which was really exciting because I know they share a similar kind of folklore creature in their country. So that's also a cool parallel. And she is amazing. Her name is Potmalita Dao, I believe. I hope I'm not mispronouncing both of her first and last name. She goes by Apple, though. So we call her Apple. And her work is incredible. Her and her team came together and took what my idea of the Manananggal should be, like our interpretation of it, and then she just took it even further. Like I just did not know how she was gonna execute this. Like I just told her I want it to feel visceral. I want them to feel the pain. I want them to still see the humanity in this woman
Mm.
who hates what she's going through. Um, and I think like both our my actress and very close friend Maria Lingbanan paired with the special effects of our team, like just did a beautiful job, just a beautiful job of bringing that character to life. Um, yeah, no, it just felt like one of those situations where, you don't, when you start the project, you're alone and you don't know how you're gonna get people involved. And then just one by one, you like stack those bricks and build that house and everyone comes together. And one of my, he is a lifelong partner of mine, creative partner and life partner, Stephen Krimmel, like has been like there from the very beginning, from the writing stage all the way through post-production, which he carried on his back as the editor, VFX person as well. Um, I I could name everybody. I could name everybody, and I wish I could. Like a great team, just a great, great team.
Bravo to the team. I love it. I love the look, the design, everything just looks again very professional. When you separate yourself from the rest of the independents that are out there when you lead with your heart, which is also that authenticity comes from that heart. And yeah, just looks amazing. And bravo to the team. Shout out to Steven. Shout out to Apple. I love
Yeah, yeah.
that.
The whole team, we love you guys.
Definitely. So, Mosquito Lady, y'all, again, available on YouTube right now on Alter. Go check it out. Um, I want to now dive in, if I can, a little bit, Kristine, on your story,
Sure.
and how you got into this mix. What we kind of lead off with my normal interviews with telling our stories is, as we know as Filipinos, we pay respect to our elders. Um, I want to find out if before you came into this world, if you have any creativity or just what some stories that you can possibly share about your mom, father, mother, father, grandma, grandfather, ancestors, anybody down the line that also might have possibly been a creative and had that, and if that is in the DNA and it flowed into you. Can you tell me a story about any of them?
Yeah, I could. It's so interesting because I am the only one in my family like uh actively pursuing a creative life and career. But I was reminded of like the creativity that does run through my family, specifically, well, actually on both sides. Like, it was, and both of my grandfathers actually are the ones that I might be getting this creative like gene from. But my grandpa Justo and my grandpa Iggy. So my grandpa Justo was actually a stuntman in the Philippines and a photographer. And so he worked on like action films and television shows in the Philippines. Like me and my dad tried to go back like on IMDb to see if we could find these shows and see if we could actually find them and watch them, and they like these were like from the 50s, so a long
Hmm.
time ago, and it's like, oh, we can't find this information anywhere. It's so like, which is so frustrating, and hopefully one day we can uncover what those shows are, because at one point my dad, because my grandpa was a stunt coordinator and stunt person on a TV show, like they needed like a kid to play a dying kid in a
So he got brought
hospital
on
bed.
set.
Yeah, so my dad got to be on a show one day and played the dying kid in a hospital bed because of my grandpa. And so like that, like I love that they both had that, and like somehow it made it through to me. And then on my mom's side, my grandpa Iggy, he always loved the marching band. Like he just loved the marching band so much, and that was a huge part of my life, but not until after he passed away. So he's the one who passed away. Um, well, both of my grandfathers had passed at this point, but like he's the one that we took back to the Philippines to be home and buried with our family there. And it wasn't until after that that I like randomly decided to join marching band with my brother. Like, and it was my mom that told me, like, your grandpa really loved like big band music, like marching bands, like, and he would have loved this. He would have loved to come to your competitions. And it's just like, oh, I just hope I really hope he did, because I did that for years. I would hope that he got to see, me and my brother doing that, like something, being a part of something he loved, because didn't get to do that before, while he was still alive. So I would say those are like the origins of maybe my creative genes that came through them. That's as much as I know in terms of the creativity that runs through my family. But I do want to learn more about my history and my ancestry, um, because I just feel like, yeah, there must be like generations down the line, so many artists. I think there's just no way, right, that there wouldn't be. So I love this question.
Oh,
It
definitely.
makes me
Well, I
cry.
will let you know that your wishes is you're living their dreams. We are their generational dreams. We wouldn't be there if not for them. So we are living through
Yeah,
them, and they're seeing from where they are in the universe through us.
yeah,
So thank you to
yes.
the universe right now for
Thank you.
giving us these talents.
Yeah,
So
no, I'm just so lucky that I have my family. Yeah.
definitely. So ages 1 through 10, what would your aunties, uncles, cousins, tell me about a young Kristine growing up in California? I think you said you were born in California. What were they tell me about a young you ages 1 through 10? What were you into? Was it
Oh,
totally left field from the arts? Uh, Tell me about growing
yeah.
up as a young Kristine.
Young Chris,
1 to 10 in
1 to
that
10.
range.
They would say, well, so I'm a twin. So like
Oh.
you're often referred to as like the two, like the twins, me and my twin brother. He was the outgoing one. I was the super shy one. Did not raise my hand, didn't ever want to talk, didn't even want to play with kids at the family parties. Like I don't know if they ever thought something was wrong with me, but like I was the quiet one growing up. Like literally ages 1 through 10, like I was just like always trying to disappear into a corner somewhere. And it wasn't until I got into the arts after age 10, like around age 12, 13, that I started to come out of my shell more. But yeah, I was
What do you think it
watching.
was? What do you think it was that you were so reserved and quiet?
I don't know. That's so
Yeah.
hard. I feel like that's something a therapist would be able to help me uncover,
This is
right?
kind of therapy. Show
Right?
is therapy,
It's
literally.
like, let's dig into this. Let's dig into this. I don't know if it was just like, because we were kids. We were playing outside all the time. I was getting hurt all the time, and then I was getting in a lot of trouble all the time for like coming home with lots of cuts and bruises and like just like I think maybe what had happened was maybe they're trying to protect me more, trying to get me to calm down a bit, not get
Uh-huh.
hurt, be a proper little girl, like I
Do
don't
you
know,
think we're like how
maybe that's in
society
there
is? We're more
somewhere.
protective of our women, which we should be, but also you can speak for yourselves, right? And as well. Do you think that was probably
Yeah.
the case? I guess. And or I also read that you
It's
were
so hard.
raised in the land of the Zodiac killer, so I don't know if that was already in your head
I
at that.
was D- wildly enough. So I am on the second episode of the newest Zodiac docu-series that came out on Netflix. It's like 3 episodes. I just finished the second one, and I did not know this man was still alive when I was already alive and living in not in the Philippines, in Vallejo. Like 1991. So like someone like a journalist from Oakland decided to do an interview with the number one suspect in Vallejo. Like he still lived in Vallejo. And I was like, 1991. They even had his like address on screen. Like I was like able to Google Maps that address. I was like, oh my gosh, he's only like an 8 minute drive from my house in Vallejo. Like, like he's long gone. The number one suspect is now long dead. But to know that like that dude was probably the Zodiac, and I was like 4 years old, like still a lot, like alive and living while
But
he
you weren't
was.
aware at that time, or were you learning about
No,
that kind of stuff between that rage? Like, okay.
no, I did not know about the Zodiac, but when I found out he was like having his heyday in Vallejo, I was like, who is this man? And this is terrifying. He's like our own version of, like Michael Myers. Like, it's just like, oh my gosh, that's terrifying. Yeah. I mean, now you see why I'm into genre and
Oh no, I think that's it. I'm curious when we get into those things, as well.
yeah,
So that's why I was like, when did she find out about these things that made her get interested in stuff and like horror films? So let's take it to 10 to 18 because 18 is generally when we graduate and we go off to college and all of that. And we'll get
yeah,
to that. Um, we're now in school. We're in middle school, high school. Uh, we're now getting older. We're learning about the world. Before we
yeah,
get into school life, being that you're Filipino American like I am, you weren't born and raised in the Philippines, but you were in a predominantly Philippine household,
yes,
finding out that you're Filipino. You know what
right,
I'm saying?
yeah,
Because everybody's different, and although yours might be different, because I'm assuming most of my Bay Area people, most of my California peeps, you're already surrounded by Filipinos. Here on the East Coast, we're like the
yeah,
only Filipino family. There's a couple, you know people,
right,
but you know that you're different, if you will.
right, right,
And racism entering the picture into your life as a young adult or
yeah.
as a youngster. What was that like in between 10, we're 10 to 18, but starting off with learning that you're Filipino.
Yeah. No, I mean, like you said, like I grew up in the Bay Area, right? So, and specifically Vallejo, where there are so like the Filipino community is huge. So the idea of like I'm different didn't quite enter my mind until later into adulthood when I left home for college. So we'll get there. But I grew up surrounded by diversity, like truly. Like I found out like at one point, like the New York Times had reported like my specific zip code in Vallejo as the sixth most diverse zip code in the country, which I'm like, that's so interesting because, while racism and, like obviously existed and I was aware of that, like it was just like, I felt like still I was surrounded by my community and even people who had different cultures and different backgrounds. I still felt like it still felt like a safer environment than like, than probably living somewhere where you are the only Filipino family in the town, the neighborhood, the school. Like, so it's such an interesting, upbringing to hear about when I hear that, someone is the sole person in their class who's Filipino
Yeah.
or something. Because I grew up surrounded by them. I grew up surrounded by people who eat our food, who like, you know, listen to our pop stars. Like we had One Voice, we had Kai, we had, it's just like we had these people who are trying to like break into the entertainment industry. We had the Bosco brothers,
Yeah.
like so it's just like, yeah, that was my upbringing. And it felt
So we already
uh
had pride for culture. Cultural pride
I
was already
did.
well
Yeah,
established.
yeah. But at the same time, I still felt like, and I didn't know it at the time, but obviously my parents being immigrants, wanting their children to assimilate to, we
And
didn't.
yes, and that. Yeah, I want to go from there to that.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
assimilation project that
yeah. Like
happened.
speaking Tagalog. So unfortunately, not fluent in Tagalog, but now I'm going to try as an adult to learn, because I want to be able, I don't want to lose that. Like I don't
Yeah.
want to be the generation that loses that our language. So I'm gonna try. But yeah, growing up not speaking Tagalog, and yeah, just wanting yeah, my parents wanting us to prioritize, like any immigrant parent, our schooling, our grades, like being successful, setting us up for success so that, we don't have to live the life that they did back in the Philippines. Very much your that immigrant story that people tell, right? Like it's
Awesome.
very common. But like they still like saw the creative bug in both me and my brother. And even though they resisted that, like they still let us like nurture those things, like they let us join marching band and color guard, even though they're like, oh, when are you going to stop doing this? Like they came to all our competitions, like they paid for all those fees. Like they let us explore that exciting creative side um of ourselves, which I loved. So that's how I built so much community in Vallejo. I mean, so many of my
Yeah.
color
So there was
teammates are.
I always like to reference one of my favorite films. Shout out to my man Dante in the debut when
Mhm,
he's
mhm.
bringing his white friends over and he's ashamed because of the our wooden fork and spoon and the smell of patis, all of that. There
That's so
was
okay.
never any of that.
Not in the household. And that's probably because those our little white friends had a lot of Filipino friends. Like they probably felt like the outsiders, honestly, at that
Yeah.
point. But not to that's not to say that, we didn't go to school and experience people being really like turned off by certain
Yeah.
smells of our foods, or just being like, oh, your house always smells like fish, like it's just
Yeah.
like, well, yeah, bangos is amazing. You should have some.
Right?
Yeah, you want some?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like so yeah, not to say that those experiences, those microaggressions didn't happen growing up. But yeah, I feel like yeah, the white friends we would bring home they felt like they were already accustomed to a Filipino household, which I know is not the case in
Yeah. I'm always
most.
intrigued the differences between the West Coast and East Coast.
Yeah.
Because it feels crazy. And Toronto, actually, a little bit. I have a lot of Toronto Philams, well, Phil
Okay.
cans
Yeah, yeah.
that come through. And
Okay.
it's always just
Yeah.
interesting our experiences. And I love, talking about that because it's just so diverse and different. And yeah, and then finding still that pride with all of that. You brought up already, so like going into school now, we're now, ages between 10 to 18. Um, what passion started to come out of you first that I read again you loved dance choreography and competing in that band how and why would got you into that I know for myself as we're Filipinos we love to dance Michael
Yes, I
Jackson
do.
Thriller especially when I saw dance choreography because we were doing those Thriller dances that
Yes, we
just all
were.
of that so what was it Thriller what was it that drove you into your passions that you then got involved with at school to then chase after it a little bit.
Right. I mean, like it was also like NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, right? Like just like learning their dances, Britney Spears learning their dances and choreography. But like what got me into like marching band and color guard was like randomly, like all of my Filipino friends were one day were like, "Hey, we're trying out for color guard. You want to come?" I didn't know what the hell that was. Like I had no idea what that even was. And I was like, "Okay, I'll try out." I did not know it would become my first love, for over a decade after that. Like it was my life, like performing in color guard and marching band. Like it was everything to me. And I think it did shape the person I am today, like the discipline, the leadership, the just like that drive to perform with your body and to tell stories. Like I think all of it stemmed from that, honestly. And so yeah, I tried out one day and I just never stopped coming. I just never stopped showing up. I just loved it so much. Uh and so yeah, I was doing that like literally all the way up until like I was 25 probably.
Awesome. I love that you found that passion. But obviously, as you were saying, so like they helped fund you to do that in school and band and everything. But then when it came to college, I don't know if you went to college, you'll
I
let me
didn't.
know. But how why did you choose what you chose? And you don't, if you don't want to give away what school you chose, but like, did they want, I'm sure, arts was one thing in school, but they want you to do, what did they want
Oh,
you to do for life? Because
yeah.
we get engineer, doctor, lawyer, what was that like in making that decision? Because while like I know I wanted to go into the arts, but you're not going to study that. You're going to either go to this because of this, but so what
Yeah.
was that decision making like when it came to that time?
Yeah, no, so I love this so much. Like so through color guard, right? Like I developed a love for theater, like literally my last year of high school. So as I was 17 going into 18, like joined the high school drama class, started writing plays. The play I got to put it on for the school. Like it was a horrible play, but I mean the fact that I got to do that, like, and for the school, like it was just like so clear that like from within, this is something I love and want to do. And so I told my parents, like, I want to pursue an acting career. Oh, yeah. Yeah, right. Like that was not gonna happen. Uh I ended up going to UC Davis, and the plan was like literally since I was a child, like you're gonna become a dentist. Like your uncle's a dentist, he's really successful. Look at his life. He has everything, like he's so comfortable. Like you should take that path. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to UC Davis. I'm gonna study, like I'm gonna major in some kind of science and like move into a dentistry career, right? Like I like thinking like I have it all figured out. It's set up, it's easy. Of course not. Like, of course, like I get to college and immediately I'm failing these classes that I have no passion for. Like, I'm so depressed, like I'm literally, and I'm okay with talking about this now because I'm in a much better place, but suicidal. Like, I was, it, I could not find myself those early years of college. Like, I had no community. I had like, no vision. I felt just so lost and almost going to get kicked out of college. It wasn't until I pivoted to like sociology, like I was like, okay, let me just like, because I was taking like sociology classes, like in addition to the classes I was failing, and I was just like realizing how much I love to learn about the world, society, people, like what makes us, make the decisions we're making, like policies, like just all those things that create like that fill that social sciences kind of um like world. Like that was so interesting to me and still also made me feel like I was getting closer to like this is as close as I can get to a creative career because I'm still studying people. This is something I can use to put into like my acting,
Yeah.
So I was like doing a double life kind of thing where it's like, my parents didn't know I was like driving to Sacramento late at night to do like these like independent like just meet up with a bunch of random people and like put on scenes together, write things, like just like act, like figure out an acting career together. It was incredible. Like I was doing that like without my family knowing, and at the same time, trying not to get kicked out of school. Like just trying to get this degree and knowing that after I got out of college, I was gonna pursue acting no matter what.
Wow.
Um, even no matter how challenging this career would be, knowing that it would be this almost impossible. Like I just wanted to do it. And it wasn't long after that that I started to incorporate filmmaking as well. Knowing how hard it is to get a career as an actor, right? As a Filipino American, it's like the opportunities didn't exist at that time. Like they are slowly but surely growing now.
Yeah.
Uh, Still not an ideal place, but like that's what made me pivot into filmmaking
I love
and
that.
like being able to create my own opportunities, put myself and my friends in my own work, and try to be the filmmaker that I want to work with. So that's how we got to today. So
But we'll
I'm
get there.
jumping ahead in your timeline.
No worries, no worries. But I'm also seeing our time span right now and when you have to leave out. So I think if we can we schedule a part two to tell this phase of the
Yes,
story?
yes, I would
Yes,
love that.
I
Oh
would
my
love
God.
that. All right.
This is amazing. I really like this feels so special. Like your questions are just so thoughtful and I don't get to think about like the past a lot. Like or I do when I'm thinking about embarrassing things, but like but like to really think about where I've come from and who I've become and where I started, like
Take
all those
that. Take that energy. It's good
things
energy.
for
And it
this
should make you feel so
opportunity.
proud. That's why I love these conversations. I feel so inspired by them. And if I cry, I cry. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm an empath. But it's
Oh,
just
you're
so
gonna make me
beautiful because, and also for sharing your story about how you became suicidal. I mean, that's a big part of my struggle and why I'm thankful that I'm here now because I was that way in the military. And that's a whole nother story. And it's been on ShoPowSho. But for you sharing that, that means a lot because I think by sharing that, people can see that everybody experiences those things and those thoughts, but yet we can come out on the other side and succeed on the other side. And we're going to take that into a part two. And we'll get that scheduled up. Kristine, I love you. I say this whenever we share stories because we're sharing pieces of our hearts. And so I really appreciate you for sharing that piece of your heart with me and with my audience. Um, Everybody, the amazing Kristine Gerolaga, and hope I didn't mess up the name. Mosquito Lady is available right now on YouTube. I'll have the link in the description below, as well as all of our other links. Because all you money bags, we need to make Lamoke happen. Hit her up, and we'll have part two with the conversation with Kristine and get the rest of the story. And as she builds into where she's going, because she's gonna be going high. The star is bright, the future is bright. Kristine, thank you. Again, I see the time. But really, from the bottom of my heart, mahal kita.
Oh, mahal kita. Thank you so much, Kuya P. This was amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Everybody, Kristine Gerolaga, part two coming soon. I'm Kuya P. Mahal kita. Salamat. We're out.
Bye.
Bye. There you go. Our recording. Okay, here we go. In a one, two, three.